Recently, I've been sort of rethinking what the role of discipline is in my life. And I think it's because when I think about discipline, I think it's done mostly for one of two reasons. You're doing it because either you don't want to become something, so fear, or because you do want to become something, which is desire, right? So you're either running from a version of yourself that you don't want to be, or you're running to a version of yourself that you want to be. And most people, when they're disciplined, they're doing that. They're sort of making themselves do something that they don't want to do to either become something that they're not yet, or to run from something that they've been or they don't want to become. And it's effective. Like it works to kind of build you what people would consider like a successful life. And I would consider myself relatively successful. I think I've done well. I think my discipline has led me to good places, um, into a great home with a great wife, great family, um, wonderful children, everything. And discipline has gotten me a lot of what they say discipline will. But I think once you've ridden the wave of discipline long enough, eventually what you begin to realize is that it's constantly, like I said earlier, setting itself between what you don't want to be and where you want to be. Like you never actually just get to be here. You always have to be thinking about what you're trying to become. And so, I would like set yearly goals, and I still do, but I would set goals for the week, and I still do. Speaking as if all this is past tense, but I mean, all this was like really extremely important to me. Now it's just kind of like background noise in a lot of ways, but used to, all of these things were really, really important to me. Excuse me. But now I'm at the point in my life where I'm just starting to wonder, is this all that there is for the rest of my life? Am I just going to be thinking about like trying to be a better person forever? I mean, am I just stuck in this loop doing things every day so that I can become something better? Um, and that's not really where the question came from, but it was lingering in the back of my mind. And so I kind of stumbled upon the answer before I was willing to ask the question. And the stumbling upon the answer came from the realization that every single one of us have energy that flows through us. And energy can come to you, but it can also be caught in you. It can be stuck. And the thing that really allows energy to flow in you, then through you and out you, is love. Real, actual love. Loving yourself, loving other people, like genuine love, experiencing love allows you to let things flow, and you don't feel like you need to force things. And so here's kind of what I'm talking about. Here's an example. Whenever I think about like cleaning, right? Because this is something everybody can relate to. Everybody has a space, right? You have a house, I have a house, maybe you have an apartment, whatever. 400 square feet, 4,000 square feet, whatever. You've got a space. When you think about cleaning, you probably think about it a lot like I've thought about it, which is, it's just a chore. It's something that you have to do, right? So maybe you don't work out, but maybe this is something, you can connect with me on. Instead of seeing cleaning as like a chore, something that we have to do, it's like, why do we think about it that way? And if you're anything like me, maybe you grew up, sort of being shamed for how dirty your room was, right? It's like, oh, this is ridiculous that your room is this dirty. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And, or you're constantly being berated for leaving a bowl out and not putting it up and not being tidy. And there's people who just feel like they're clean, but they're like so obsessive over it that they don't actually seem happy. So you're like, okay, I'm not going to be happy with me being filthy because a disorganized space is a disorganized mind. But the people who are like really organized don't seem happy either. And so it's like, what is the solution here? And so what I've realized is that let's add love into the equation. Whenever I stop seeing my space, and you can think of your space, when I stop seeing my space as a battleground for discipline and chores and just grudging through and doing things I don't want to do, my attitude and mindset towards something like cleaning, you can apply this to anything, apply it to work, apply it to relationships, working out, whatever. When my attitude shifts towards one of love, I'm more willing to address something whenever there's love associated with it and not feelings of fear, grief, or shame. And we're drawn to things that make us feel love. So, for instance, think about when you were, and here's kind of what I'm trying to say. Think of when you were a kid and you had a toy in your space. And if someone came in and I started punching that toy, it's just a stuffed animal. But it would kill you as a kid. Like it would hurt you to watch your favorite stuffed animal get beat up. And it's because I think as kids, we kind of understand that existence is all, everything is all together, everything is all here. And we're so much better at not being so stuck in our minds and being driven by fear and shame when we're really small. And we just love the things around us. You know, kids will fall in love with like a balloon because kids they sort of have this love that hasn't been suppressed in them yet. And as adults, we sort of suppress that love and we replace it with like this guilt and shame. And so what I've begun to do is look at something like, my office area that I work from home in, or, or my living room, or the space that I sit at the end of the day, or my bedside table, or my side of the bathroom. And I say, I love these spaces. They've been so good to me. My garage, you have a gym in there, it's shielded our car. I've stopped seeing it as like, I need to tidy this up. I need to tidy this up. And I start saying, you know what? This space has been so good to me. This has been such a good space to me. And it's not that I owe it anything. There's no guilt. There's no shame. There's no like attachment. There's no like, if I lost it, I'd be okay. But it's just out of love. I'm going to treat this like I would treat something that I love today. I'm going to give it 10 minutes. And what you do when you do that is you stop setting like a standard for what a contribution to it can be. So take like working out, for example. When you work out, not because you want to discipline yourself to have this body or discipline yourself to not have this body, but work out because you love your body, you stop immediately looking at the workout and going, okay, well, was it good enough? Did I live up to my standard? Is my body where I want it to be yet? And what you'll do is you'll enjoy your workouts more because it's like a workout will just be like a massage to your body. It's like you'll just be giving your body what it needs to be at its best. And you can just love yourself all the way through it. And you'll start to clean and you'll say, you know what, I might not get to vacuuming, but man, this living room's been really good to me. And so I'm going to show it some love. I'm going to tend to it just for 5 minutes. I'm just going to tend to it. And when you start to operate in that way, I'm telling you, it's a limitless source of energy to address all the things that you want to address or the things in your life that you feel like you need to be. See, even that language, need to be. Like, again, even my language is still stuck in this world of like responsibility and duty. And, we can say that we think those are honorable things, and to an extent they are. But I think once your consciousness reaches a certain level, I think you got to start to ask, okay, like, am I just doing it because I'm supposed to? Or like, no, I'm going to, friend, take this shirt. I love this shirt. And I've been so bad about taking forever to take it out of the dryer and hang it up. And so it gets wrinkly. And I got it at Goodwill for like $2, but I abuse it. And I'm like, this shirt's been good to me. I love it. Why am I not kinder to it? The East Asians are wonderful at this. Like the Japanese, Chinese people, they make things last forever. You go into their home, everything's orderly and neat. And it's because they sort of have this baked into their religion, this understanding of like their oneness with everything. And because they love things, or they just see things for what they are, and they just address them there, and they love them. Like I love my backyard here. And so looking at these cups, I could say, okay, well, this is gross. Like, why do I have cups out here? I shouldn't have cups out here. I should take these inside. These need to be whatever. Instead, I could say, you know what? I love my home. And because I love my home, I'm going to do something for my home. I'm going to take care of this real quick. I'm going to take these upstairs and I'm going to organize it out here out of love. And even if I don't do everything, even if I don't fold up everything that's out here and get all the chairs in order perfectly, I'm going to do little things in love. And what I've realized is that started to compound. And I noticed that everything around me is tidier and neater and cleaner because I don't see cleaning as like a chore. I see it as just an expression of love. And I don't see working out as like a chore, something I have to do. I see it as just an expression of love for myself. And so, a lot of that love is going to it's going to start with loving yourself. It is. The Bible says to love your neighbor as yourself. You can't get away from, God doesn't tell you not to love yourself. He says to love your neighbor as yourself. But what a lot of us do is we judge other people. And so therefore we judge ourselves. And Jesus says, judge not lest you be judged. So he's saying, he's not saying that he's going to change, God's going to change his standard of how he judges you based on how you judge others. He's saying, if you judge other people, you're going to judge yourself by that same standard. And a lot of us we're caught in this cycle of judgment of ourselves. Like a lot of us love our pets more than we love ourselves, honestly. Um, and I love my dog. And, I'm sure you all love your dogs too. And animals have this innocence to them. And there's value in loving animals 100%. But like you're valuable too. And I'm not just saying that. I mean that. And not maybe only one person sees this and hears it. I really hope that you understand that you are valuable. And you should love yourself as just like your animals, just like your pets deserve to be loved. You deserve to be loved. And because you deserve to be loved, your spaces deserve to be loved. And it's not an obligation. It's not a duty. It's not like a responsibility. It can just be an expression of love. Um, it doesn't have to go into this place of like guilt and shame. And then you start to think to yourself, well, no, I haven't shown my space love. Even that is judgment. And you go, oh, I did just judge myself. That's judging yourself on judging yourself. And it's like, so get out of that cycle of like shame and guilt. And because that's where discipline, I think, is helpful, is it sort of like, it gives you something to do. Discipline gives you something to do with shame and guilt. But there comes a point where you just have to say, you know what? Shame and guilt have no place in my life anymore. I have no reason to feel shame or guilt unless, of course, you done something horrible. But for the most part, most of us are judging ourselves for stuff that's just holding us back, and it's blocking the love. The shame and guilt is blocking the love. And so my encouragement to you would be, ask yourself what's blocking the flow of love in your life. Like what's blocking you and keeping you from being able to love your home, from being able to love your space, from being able to love your clothes, from being able to love your body. You say, well, because they're not what I want them to be. Okay. Well, that isn't a space problem. That is an internal lens problem, because there are people who have much worse homes than I do who love their homes more. There are people who have worse homes, clothes, and bodies than you do. Have worse ones. They would consider worse, right? By like I said, if you set a standard, they would be considered worse by your standard, and they love them more, and they feel that love for them more, and because of that, over the long term, they're going to have more energy to put into them because of the love that they show for them. So, just something to consider. Ask yourself what's blocking the love.